Hi, I'm Kathy Stevens. Welcome to the Ab Lab course. The Ab Lab Foundations course and Hot Abs workout explores the shift in abdominal training technique towards a more functional, core inclusive, and healthy back approach. It offers a unique yoga-inspired blended workout format for implementation of core training techniques with a Hatha Yoga flow segment. This course is divided into 3 complementary modules. In Module 1, students will review the shift in abdominal training from isolated ab exercises like crunches to a more global core conditioning workout. In Module 2, we'll take a look at an innovative yoga-inspired blended format for training those core and abdominal muscles, and we call it the Hot Abs workout. Module 3 introduces the training guidelines and format suggestions along with the Hot Abs Masterclass. Together, the foundational information and workout format make for a complete learning package, including the theory and practice behind Ab Lab training. Now, I'd like to get to know a little bit more about who's in the room today before we get going, and also give you a few ground rules to make this example training go smoothly. First of all, just to see what you can do, how many of you have participated in an online course? Please move your circle to the left side of the room if you've been in an online course, and move your circle to the right side of the room if you've never been in an online course. Well, excellent. Seems like the majority of you have been. Now, those of you that have been in an online course before, could you please also, we're just demonstrating some of the fun tools here, give me an emoji of some sort, like a thumb up or maybe a wave, if you've taken an Ab Lab specific course before. I see a thumb up there. Great. Derek as well. Awesome, awesome. Of course, Molly, my co-instructor today. All right. So moving on, what else I want to explain before we get too far is that when I go to show some of the tools, because we don't want to get feedback, I might ask you to turn your mic off. And that would just mean clicking on the microphone at the bottom of your screen till it has a little slash through it. That way I'll know that we're not going to hear everybody's feedback, but just what we're trying to listen to for that segment. We're also going to invite you to go to several rooms where we'll discuss the different portions of the course, Module 1, 2, and 3. But I would also invite you at any time later or during a break to come back to the lobby, and you'll see that you could do that by simply going up to the drop-down and finding the lobby and rejoining the lobby again, or there might be a sign on the wall that says lobby, and it's an easy push. I'd like you to come back and take a look at the Ab Lab interview that's on the wall behind me over here to my left. If you click on the red button, you're going to be able to see a fun interview that I did with the collaborative yoga instructor who helped create the Ab Lab Hot Abs yoga workout. All right, let's move on. Let's go into the next room to discuss Module 1. To do that, simply you will take and click on the next button, and I'll see you there. Let's go. Great job. Awesome. So now let's take a look at a little bit of what's in Module 1. Remember, Module 1 is setting the foundation for where we used to do, or the things we used to do in ab training, to where we want to collaborate it with a more inclusive core conditioning program. And we have a little fun with some myths, or what we might just call beliefs, myths, or training theory. Here's one, and I'm going to ask you guys to show again whether you believe this is a myth or a truth. If you believe it's a myth, I'm going to get you on the left side of the room. If you believe it's a truth, I want you to move to the right side. Strong abdominals can prevent back pain and back problems. If you think it's a myth, get over to the left. If you think it's a truth, get over to the right. Aha, a little decision making going on. Awesome. Well, let's move on to the next slide and we'll see what the right answer is, or if there is a correct answer. So, just a little background. The reason this is so important is that we know that back pain and problems are something that 80% of adults will experience throughout their lifetime. It is the leading cause of doctor's office and visits. It is the leading cause of many hospitalizations, surgeries, and work disabilities. And guess what? Athletes and fitness enthusiasts are not exempt. As a matter of fact, back problems and back pain are a common malady of sports and active people. So, what's that telling us? Let's take a look at the next slide. Well, there's studies, and in this course we'll discuss more than one, that have revealed that abdominal strength and ab exercises, the traditional ones that you think of when you think of ab training, the crunches, the leg lifts, they may not be the best way to protect the back from pain or injury. Let's move on to the next slide. We actually know that doing too much of what we call ab movement or spinal flexion can create an imbalance because you're not working on stabilizing the spine, and you might be inhibiting something called the inner unit of muscles, which we talk more about in the course. It also might cause a little dominance in those large hip muscles called the hip flexors and shorten a muscle called the iliopsoas. Now, all of these muscle groups are discussed in a much further way throughout the course. But with that in mind, we also know that there can be some shearing forces on the lumbar spine during some traditional ab exercises. Now, that doesn't mean we throw the baby out with the bathwater, because there still are reasons for doing some of our traditional ab work, especially when it comes to trying to really have those 6 or 8 pack abdominals that we want to see once we get our body fat down enough. Let's move on to the next slide. So, what is the truth? Well, the truth is that abdominal and back healthy training programs need to include a balance between movement, the crunches, and stabilization exercises, which we haven't talked much about yet, but will, and that these exercises need to address the entire core, the front or the anterior, the posterior or the back, the inner or deep muscles, as well as the outer ones we think of like the rectus abdominis or the 6-pack, 8-pack. Depends on how many show on you, right? So guess what? You're both right. Ta-da! It isn't either or. It's a combination of both. And if you do a nice full program, we hope that will prevent some of those back problems that are so rampant among athletes as well as regular lay people. All right, let's move on. And what I'd like you to do now is give me a raise of hand, use the raise hand emoji, if you feel pretty comfortable with what we've covered so far. And if you have a question, you can also ask that at this time. I see the wave, so Derek feels like he's comfortable. Thanks, Anna. You too. Wonderful. Thumb up. We're happy. All right. Well, now we need to talk. Let's go to the next slide. A little bit about training for spinal stability. That's that other half that gets ignored or had been ignored for so many years when we would do those 100 abdominal crunches in every workout. So how do we have to stabilize the spine? What's the first thing we need to do? Well, what we need to do is we need to recognize what neutral spinal posture is. And I've got my co-instructor in here today, Molly. Molly, raise your hand. And she's going to demonstrate this for us live. So we're going to bring Molly up a little bigger so you can see her and her studio. She's actually at her Pilates studio live with us. She's going to demonstrate.
I'm going to take this off so you can see my torso better.
Awesome. She's going to back up a little. And the way the technique works is it's called the rib hip check. She's going to take her thumbs and place them on the edge of her ribs. And she's going to take her middle finger and place it at the top of her pelvis or her hip bone. Now, Molly will do this from the front and the side so you get a good idea of what I'm looking for. She's going to arch her back and let those fingers spread as big as possible. Make that opening as big as she can go without pain or discomfort. And then she's going to reverse that and bring the ribs and pelvis towards each other and bring those fingers as close as she can make them go. Now, turn to the side and do that several times for us, Molly. Turn a little bit to the side so we get a better look at this. Spread them and then flex them. Bring them forward. And after doing a few, I want Molly to find what she thinks is dead center or just about the middle of the road for those two extreme range motions. Finding her middle, this would be considered neutral. And then we would ask her or cue her to engage her muscles in that position and just kind of wrap a band of nice contraction around that neutral posture. Thank you, Molly. Did you feel that?
Yes, for sure.
And there's other postures too. You can do it standing, but she could also perform this from a hand and knee position or from a supine on her back position. Oh, you want to show that? Awesome, Molly. Thanks. So same thing. She's going to let that rib cage come together as far as she can go and then arch the back the other way. She can do a few ranges of this and then find center. Now, it's hard for her to use the fingers on this, but she could also lie down on her back. Go ahead and show that. Now she can place the fingers again, thumbs on ribs, fingertips on the top of the hip bones. She can arch her lower back, arching up, opening that gap between the thumbs and the fingers, and then she can pull in and draw the navel towards the floor and close that space with the drawing in maneuver. And then go back and forth between the two until she finds what feels like her comfortable neutral. Then she braces it with strong abdominals around her core. Thank you, Molly. That was a great demonstration.
Thanks.
Now, the benefit of that is once you know neutral, now when you do the exercises that are designed to stabilize neutral, you know you're doing it with the right posture. So that's number one, is finding neutral. And then you're going to come up with exercises that allow you to practice keeping that neutral, whether you're moving your trunk or whether you're moving your limbs. This is just a slight touch of the information that we cover in the foundational module of this training, Module 1. Now, we're going to move on and we're going to move into another room to look a little more at Module 2 and 3, which get into the hot abs yoga blended workout. So why don't you now follow me to the blue sign where it says click here to go to part 2, and we'll all join together in the next room. All right, hopefully I didn't lose anybody. Everybody here? Awesome. Thank you for letting me know vocally, and you can also use your emojis. Hopefully everybody is finding all the tools that we're using in this room really helpful. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Now we're going to take a look at some of what went into the actual hot abs yoga-based workout or yoga blended workout. And I'd just like you to see an example exercise that we used, a clip of it from the actual workout. Myself and Scott, one of the yoga instructors, will demonstrate in step 1 the technique used for the side bridge to a clam or hip lift. So what I'm going to have you do, I want us all to understand how to utilize the independent watching of some of the tools in the room. So I'm going to ask you all to click mute on your microphone so we don't get unnecessary feedback. Once you've done that, now I want you to independently go ahead and click on the pink box that says step 1, and we'll be back as soon as that clip is over. Let's go ahead and do that together now. Push the red button to play the clip.
Moving on to the second exercise in Series 1. The isometric hold is a side plank. So let's get on second exercise plank in Series 1. The isometric So again, with the side plank, you want to kind of line up. You want to have your hand right underneath your shoulder, a nice long line from ear, shoulder, hip, and heels. And in the side plank, you're just going to hold this position for that 30 to 60 seconds, breathing. If you needed to modify, you'd come down onto your knees.
Do here, or you could come back to that first leg and send the left leg out in front.
Right. You could also come down to your forearm if you're finding that the wrist is giving any of your clients or your participants problems. And same thing, you could restabilize here with the upper leg. Main thing to keep in mind is to keep that nice stacking of elbow under shoulder. And then as I look down, I see this beautiful plumb line from his ear to his heel. I wish you could see it. It's perfect alignment.
Okay, let's go ahead and unclick or unmute yourself. So that's just a small example of one of those integrative core exercises that will address spinal stability from a neutral position. Does anybody have any questions so far? Well, if not, that's great. We'll move on 100%. So what happens? We go through the modules. You'll have the complete pre-designed workout, the hot abs that you can duplicate and take to class tomorrow, blending the yoga and the traditional moves. But within the modules, we will also be taking quizzes. So these quizzes are simple questions that kind of keep you on pace, make sure that you stay in the moment, that you're absorbing the information, that you feel confident with the information, and it also lets us know you've made it through the course. So I'd like us all for a second to take a look at that quiz tool, and all you have to do is click on step 3 to take the quiz over here. I just floated, and let's take a look at this together. And hey, let's test ourselves. Let's see if you can answer a few of these questions just with the small amount of information that we've covered today. All right, so question number 1. The paradigm shift in abdominal training, in particular in this course, includes, first, a shift towards aesthetics. Second answer, movement system focus. Third, function and back protection focus. Or fourth, a focus on the rectus abdominis. Well, let's see. I don't know how I'm going to have you tell me this, but if you chose, and you would in the course, you would choose the right answer, functional and back protection focus, you would be right. Hopefully everyone, raise your hand if you got that right. Yay. Or I guess you can use your raise your hand emoji. Either way works. Oh, clapping does too. All right, let's try another one. A healthy abdominal and back training program needs to include a blank focus between movement and stabilization exercises. Would it be a primary focus, a balanced focus, a secondary focus, or a relative focus? Think about it. If you chose the second answer, balance. Thank you. Thank you for having a voice. You were right. Again, give yourself a big hand if you got that one right. And then I have one more example. We'll see if you can get this one right. 2 for 2, hopefully. The hot abs workout includes a blend of what with traditional abdominal and core training exercises? Is it cardiovascular? Is it Pilates? Is it yoga? Or is it martial arts? Don't all yell at the same time. Do all yell at the same time.
Yoga.
Yay, thank you for that. Well, and the reason I love this question is because even though this first course and this first masterclass was blending yoga, the idea is we could create the same principle around any other modality. So, for example, Molly, have you thought about blending traditional ab and stability exercises within some of your, let's say, reformer workouts?
Yeah, it's a great idea. We follow just the Pilates routine, but I could see ways to add the hot abs workout in for sure.
Yeah. So, and many of these things you might already do or have done some type of a cardiovascular training where you blend ab work in, but it's about making it fun and interactive and recognizing the balance between the many things we need to do, whether it's working our heart, whether it's working for flexibility, whether it's working on something like martial arts where you're really working on skill, but also weaving in those exercises that are back healthy as well as core strengthening. All right. So with that said, you guys have made it through step 3, which is taking the quiz. And what is great about that is at the end of taking this course, you will receive units as well as a certificate of completion. As long as you've gone through the course and answered all the quiz questions, you do have several chances to answer if you get something wrong. So don't be intimidated by the quiz part. And you can see here on the screen an example of our certificate of completion that comes with the course. Now, I really want to thank everybody for being a part of this kind of new phygital world as we enter a new form of online education and business marketing. We hope you enjoyed the brief look at some of the interactive tools that are available, and I hope you also will take a look at our Ab Lab course, because believe it or not, this course is free to anybody through our e-learning event that wants to take it. It does come with units, and all you have to do is follow the link. You can see in the blue screen here in the blue box with the link of myphygitalworld.com/contact.html to find out more about it, and also to receive the free course, go to the www.theablab.teachable.com. And this is a gift from us to you, because we want you to be able to experience the entire course, and we thank you for your time today. Now, before we completely close out, I would love to let you know that those of you who want to stay in this room, if you have any questions for Molly, you can have a private chat with Molly in this room. If you have questions about her Pilates programming, her studio, or some of the ways that she's integrating the Ab Lab into her programming. And those of you that want to follow me back to the lobby, I'd love for you to take a brief look at that clip that I mentioned in the beginning, which is the interview I had with the star yoga instructor from the Ab Lab Hot Abs workout. So I'll join you back in the lobby if you want to be with me, and if you'd like to discuss a few things with Molly, you can stay here. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope to see you again.